So how is the horizontal niggas finna see me, man? Let me go on kick and see what's up with this. You niggas hear me? You niggas hear me? You guys don't see me. You guys hear me? You guys don't see me. 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 You guys don't see me.
He was upset. I see people debate a lot what's better to stream on YouTube or Twitch, and it's a question I get asked a lot because I'm like Constantine, the man who walks between worlds here, because I stream on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I multi stream. I am the future. I'm the chimera. There's pros and cons to each platform, but if you do both of them at the same time, you create the perfect stew. It's the chemical X to streaming. I have said since switching to multi streaming, every single person should be multi streaming. Contracts don't exist anymore except for on Kick, and even that I think is gone. There are no Twitch contracts. There are no YouTube contracts. They've gone extinct. Like the saber-toothed tiger. You know, like they have wiped their ass with contracts to creators. So I think you are making a big mistake if you just marry yourself to one of those platforms instead of just doing both. Because you can. When people talk about this subject, they only give like the basic rundown, like the nutsack summary of pros and cons. I haven't seen anyone really go over numbers. I'm going to go over numbers. And I really think that the numbers here tell a very complete story of why multi-streaming should be the norm for streamers. It's in their best interest, and for viewers too, because then viewers have a choice on, do they want to watch it on Twitch where they're going to have a much more interactive chat experience, or do they want to watch it on YouTube where they don't care about the chat experience because it's a lot more dog shitty there. Basically non-existent chat culture on YouTube streaming, but the playback is a lot smoother, a lot higher quality, and you can rewind it, which is a nice quality of life change. Also, it's a lot better on mobile. Twitch on mobile has been a fucking disaster for me for as long as I've tried to watch Twitch on my phone. Also, the ads on Twitch, they're getting outrageous. YouTube streaming doesn't have nearly as many ads, which is a nice breath of fresh air. Like, there are real pros and cons to both, but these are just the basics. And these talking points have been worn out more than my pussy after eating anything with spice in it. So I'm not just going to be Baby Bird vomiting the same talking points you've heard a million times. Instead, I want to show you the numbers. I want to bring up my biggest, most profitable stream I ever did on Twitch and then break it down a little bit. It was in 2022 when Moist Esports won the Rocket League Major, the Spring Major, still one of the best moments I've ever had streaming. I peaked at 75,000 live viewers. It was a very long stream that I did, and it took home 11.7K for that whole stream. Roughly 2,000 subs, but most of it came through ads, and most of those subs were primes. Subbing on Twitch is far more common than members joining on YouTube. Membership on YouTube is the equivalent of a Twitch sub where someone on YouTube pays $1. So like a tier 1 sub on YouTube for my channel is $1. On Twitch the minimum is $5, but it's the same concept. You pay money and it's a subscription basically. And that is so much more common on Twitch. So 2,000 subs on that Twitch stream is more than I've ever got through a YouTube live stream, by a large margin. And 11.7K is the most profitable stream I ever had in my entire 7 years on Twitch. I actually streamed on Justin TV before it became Twitch. I used to do like World at War Zombies on there and shit, but then I took like a long hiatus and then came back in like 2016. But this was...
That's crazy. Like, the amount of, it's just crazy, man.
This was the biggest stream I've ever done. I then switched to multi-streaming last year. And what I've learned is Twitch is much higher potential to earn money while live than YouTube, and it's because of things like the Twitch Primes, which have become a pretty integral part of the Twitch ecosystem, and ads. Twitch actually has more ads than YouTube, and thus, since more ads are playing, that's more money being generated from those ads to the streamers. There's so fucking many ads on Twitch. They pump ads out the wazoo, and they are so intrusive. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years Twitch integrates a system into their player that has like eye tracking capabilities, so if a viewer looks away during an ad break, it'll pause the ad till their eyes are glued right back to it to finish the ad.
Damn. I know it was that bad on Twitch, man. I ain't gonna lie. You know, I was streaming on Twitch sometimes and shit, you feel me? I didn't know it was this bad though. You know, it's like Basically, what I'm experiencing right now with with this right here, bro. Like,
It's
how can I put this at the back of me like this?
it's brutal, but it does have higher earning potential while live for those streamers that have all of these ad breaks that are going on. So Twitch has a higher earning potential through live content. And the VODs on Twitch don't make any money. Like, they just don't. I don't even know if they're fucking monetized. And if they are, I don't know if streamers even see a penny of that. Like, not a single one of those fucking clams makes it to a streamer's pockets through the VODs. But on YouTube,
Why though? Why aren't they making any money? It makes no sense. Like, if you got a VOD and the video is your own clip, like, you should make money. Oh shit, my mic is off. You should be able to make money. You know, I'm sorry my mic was off, man. But like I said, like, you should be able to be making money if you got VOD videos and they're doing pretty good. You know, if they doing pretty good, then you should be fucking earning, bro. Like, I didn't know it was this bad on Twitch, bro. For real.
it's a totally different story. My most successful stream on YouTube isn't the one I just had at the Game Awards with over 110,000 live viewers, which is my biggest stream by viewer metrics. The most profitable stream I've ever done, the most profitable anything I've ever done, is this stream right here, my Starfield stream. During the stream, I had 31,000 average viewers with a peak of 38K, which is a big stream. That is a big stream for me. It's actually more average viewers than the Rocket League one, but the Rocket League stream not only was a longer stream, but had a higher peak, and thus you would expect make more money because of the ads and the subs that came through. Well, what if I told you that's not the fucking case when it comes to YouTube streaming? Because this Starfield video actually made $84,000. 84,000 doubloons for a 4-hour stream just playing mid-poop-ass Starfield. The actual, like, this was like an insomnia, try not to fall asleep challenge, basically. $84,000. And it's not because the 31,000 viewers all of a sudden just started, buying memberships or donating tons and tons of money. This wasn't like the biggest documented case of credit card fraud and money laundering that the internet's ever seen. In fact, the live stream itself made 1.6K on ads, and the other $78,000 came from the VOD and the ads that played during a VOD. Now, the membership number there, the 2.4K, a lot of those memberships were just from people watching the VOD and then buying a membership, not them doing it while it was live. Also, the supers and gifts, I'm pretty sure that is live. So you can add the 1.6K plus the 1.6K on the supers, so the 1.6K from the live ads plus the super chats. And let's just go ahead and be generous and say, like, the live stream, while it was live, made 4K. The other $80,000 came from the VOD. This isn't some, like, rare mutation here, like a fucking X-Men of analytics. This isn't some fringe outlier isolated case. This is the way that YouTube streaming is optimized. YouTube streaming is kind of just an afterthought for the platform. YouTube has always been about VODs, the videos itself. So when you finish a stream, it becomes a VOD, and that enters into the YouTube algorithm. And YouTube is extremely efficient at monetizing VODs. So finishing a 4-hour Starfield stream, it immediately saved as a VOD and made tons and tons of money through the VOD. Whereas on Twitch, I don't even think VODs are monetized. And if they are, it's not the creators making the money from the VODs, I don't think. YouTube is a totally different story. You don't make as much money while you are live from people buying memberships or donating money or anything like that, and their ads aren't that frequent on YouTube live streams, thank heavens. But what you miss in live revenue, you make up for with VOD revenue 10 times over. What I showed you with the Rocket League stream was my biggest, most profitable Twitch stream I ever did. So even when I was a daily streamer for like 6 to 8 hours a day for years, averaging between 10 to 20,000 viewers, fluctuating, I would
Averaging 8 to 10 hours a day, like, that's real grind, bro. Like, I cannot lie. You know how much work you have to put in for that? You gotta put in a lot of work to average 10 plus hour fucking what you call time or fucking damn, bro. Live for like 8 hours? That's crazy, man. That's talent, man.
usually be making between 4 to 6K a day. And that was like the norm, with the occasional peak going up to like 8 or 9, and then that being the biggest at over 11. But right now, my viewership combined on YouTube and Twitch is higher than it ever was on just Twitch. On YouTube, I average between 10 to 12K a stream, and on Twitch, it's between like 5 and 6K. It really just kind of depends on what I'm doing at the time. But on Twitch, you'll make more money while live and make nothing once the stream ends. On YouTube, you'll make less money while live and then could make 5 times as much from just the VOD. On Twitch, when the stream ends, it's basically forgotten. That's lost media at that point because no one's fucking watching Twitch VODs, it seems. On YouTube, when the stream ends, well, now the journey's just begun. Like, now, there's no telling what that can generate. Like, take this for example. This was a very normal, pretty low-key stream. I was just replaying Gears of War, one of the most important games of my life. This wasn't a brand new, hot release that would be, like, algorithmically successful. Like, it's not like something the algorithm will be salivating over, pushing out a Gears of War live stream. Gears of War is older than the hair on your grandma's titty nipple. Like, this is one of those streams where I do just because I really wanted.
This guy is hilarious. I ain't gonna lie. Like, for real, for real.
To replay this game, and you can see my average viewers were 10,000, which is normal. That's a pretty normal stream for me on YouTube. But the VOD now has 1.6 million views and has made over $20,000. And of course, I was multi-streaming, so I can pull the Twitch data as well here. This exact same stream made $1.4 thousand on Twitch. The difference is substantial. Now you can see again here in the data, the live revenue, 802 while live here, plus again, memberships and supers aren't really indicative to what was live because some of those could have been from people watching the VOD, and it calculates here post-VOD. But regardless, you can see that the live revenue was less on YouTube than it was Twitch, but the overall revenue is substantially higher on YouTube because of the VODs, which is something Twitch just doesn't really have, which is why I think you should just do both. Your potential to earn while live is much higher on Twitch, but your potential to earn through VODs is astronomically higher on YouTube, so you're really doing yourself a disservice if you don't just do both. And again, it is a positive for viewers too, because they'll be able to choose the platform they want to watch on, as opposed to having to roll their eyes and be like, oh, my favorite streamer's on YouTube. I hate the fucking chat there, but whatever, I guess I'll watch. Or maybe I won't. I really hate YouTube streams. Or vice versa. Oh man, my favorite streamer is only on Twitch. He went from YouTube to Twitch, and I just don't like.
Damn, I didn't know Twitch was that bad though. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I know people not get wasn't getting paid for their VOD, the clips, and all that. That's crazy. How do I do so many clips, but I don't get paid for it? Like, what the fuck? That makes no sense.
Twitch, I'm not a fan of it. I guess I'm just not going to watch him anymore. I'll just wait for the VODs on YouTube when he posts the clips. Like, now they have the option of just being on what platform they want to watch the stream. And there's a lot of streamers that are making the switch to multi-streaming. I just really think this should just be common practice for anyone who streams, because there's no reason not to. There is no exclusive contracts anymore. They're gone. Poof, they've vanished. And that's great for streamers and viewers alike, honestly. I used to think contracts were the future for streams, but that was until I realized just how efficient multi-streaming is from both a streamer and viewer side. There are just endless examples I can give in my time multi-streaming. Like, here's another super normal one with me playing an indie game that I really like called Another Crab's Treasure. Fucking Crab Souls, absolute banger of a game, but it's not like this stream was doing crazy numbers, right? Like, the movement on the stream wasn't anything, unfathomable. Average 13K viewers, but the VOD now has over 2 million views, and it's made over $30,000. And to show this same stream what it did on Twitch, the numbers that it put up over there, it did 1.3K during the live stream, and nothing from the VOD. I can go on and on with the crazy numbers that YouTube stream VODs are capable of putting up. Like, here's me just playing Liza P, fucking Pinocchio Souls, 16,000 average viewers, and the VOD.
That's crazy, man. Like, Twitch is not trying to pay their content creators. It's crazy. Like, damn. They really need to up their game, man. Like, this is not it. Like, for real, for real.
Has made over $51,000. I just don't think there's a very good argument to only streaming on one platform. There is no reason you shouldn't just multi-stream. Your viewers are going to pick the platform they most prefer, and I think that it's nice to at least give them the option of choosing that for themselves too. And again, the potential for the streamer is pretty huge. So yeah, anyway, hopefully this was helpful for anyone out there that's trying to decide what platform they should stream on. I think it should just be both. That's my advice, and to any streamers out there right now that are only streaming on either YouTube or only on Twitch, really think you should just come in the middle and hold hands with both platforms and just, like the commercial, why not both? I really think that's probably a good idea.
That is a good idea, man. Like, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm streaming on Kick, and I'm streaming on YouTube. But I can't even find my YouTube though. I really don't know what my YouTube was when I did the login, and I'm having troubles right now logging into my YouTube. I know the username, but don't know my email, so, and I don't know how I'm supposed to log in my shit if I don't know my email. So it's just, everything is just crazy right now. And this video was real helpful, bro. Like, Charles, I really appreciate this video, my nigga. Like, this was really helpful. I'm just a new streamer starting out right now, so I'm getting the gist of it right now. How the streaming works. So it's not like I did it for a minute, so it's just starting out for me right now. So, and it's a blessing, to know, like, to know what is which is which, and he said, stream on both of them. There's nothing wrong with streaming on all of them, all of platforms, to be honest with you. Like, and you grow more like that, because you get seen on YouTube, you also get seen on Twitch, you also get seen on Kick, all types of shit. So that would be good, bro. That would be real smooth. I ain't gonna lie to you. Okay.
I do want to say, though, regardless of what platform you're on, it's a very saturated market, so it's going to take a lot of luck. I've said this since the beginning of time. I'm not special. I got lucky. You could be making the best content the world's ever seen, turbo cheek clapping, slapping, banger, heater after heater, but at the end of the day, it's all about having that one lucky break that puts it in front of people's peepers and gets them interested. The only thing you have control over is the consistency. So that way you'll have like a catalog of videos that people can go back and watch after they might find that video that popped off through luck. So that's really about it. See ya.
I'm looking for some positive energy.
Next place.
I'm trying to see Bruh, could have sworn this nigga just dropped the video. Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. Y'all wanna watch let's watch some theories, bro. Yeah, right here, look. Say this nigga dropped the video. I don't really seen it, man, nigga, but y'all wanna watch some theories, man? Let's watch some. Oh yeah. We gotta watch some great theories too, bro. Like, you know what I'm gonna say? You know what I'm saying? We gotta watch. We gotta find something good. You know, I really like. Dusk and dawn. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I haven't uploaded since then. I was really hoping. I was really hoping you did, man. But it's all good. Some other stuff. That's why show me Joy Boy right here, Joy Boy theory. So I like his
Hey YouTube,
content
Joe
too.
Boy here. So, One Piece chapter 1155 is out. If you guys haven't checked out that chapter yet, I suggest that you do so because I will be spoiling you. Now that you have, let's begin. I know that this is technically supposed to be a King Harold flashback, but I don't think anybody in the community is...
Yeah, it was supposed to be King Harold flashback, but we're not complaining though. What we got, you know what I'm saying? This nigga Oda been cooking up, you know, so we don't mind, bro. Oda, cook up some more. You know what I'm saying? But you know, make sure you give us the God Valley. Like, come on, bro. You showing us rocks. You know what I'm saying? So since we going back in time and we looking in, you know, in the past and shit, we gotta see, like, you know what I'm saying, like what went down. You know what I'm saying? Like how he died. We gotta know all of that now. You know what I'm saying? And it gotta be ASAP though. You know? So Oda, you gotta bless niggas, bro. We need that God Valley. Like we need that, bro. We need that. Like ASAP.
He's actually looking at that because this was, for all intents and purposes, a Rocks D. Zebek chapter. King Harold might as well be a side character. Who predicted that? Couldn't have been me. I said this on Twitter X, and I guess I'll say it here.
King Harold is cold though. He's cold too. Like back then, like it's like Whitebeard and Roger type shit. You know, like emo and Joy Boy type shit. You know.
As well, it's just incredible that since Egghead, pretty much, One Piece has not peaked. We're already at the peak, we're on top of the red line, and it just keeps going. It's really starting to feel as though we're in Sabaody or we're in Impel Down, and coming up next is Marineford. But yeah, I suppose I want to start this review here. A question that we had after the last chapter, you know, honestly, I was not expecting a Rocks flashback here in Elbaf, and it begs the question of why exactly did Oda choose to reveal Rocks here and now? Like, of course, we eventually need to get the reveal, but the placement, is there any purpose in that? Is there anything immediately?
Yeah, for real. Like, why did Oda choose, like, to show us rocks at Albath? What's going on in Albath? You know what I'm saying? Like, where you going with this, Oda? What you cooking? Is he hiding somewhere in Albath? Is that what's going on? Uh, is that what's happening? You know, cause that nigga Detail Emu is gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real.
Coming up that would perhaps require us to know some of these things. So there could be any number of answers to this, and it could also just be that Oda felt like he wouldn't have a great opportunity to share some of this stuff at other places. I mean, you can't just throw in a Rocks flashback wherever. There's some amount of interconnectedness it needs with the present story. Harold knowing Rocks and Loki looking up to Rocks provides this opportunity. The possibility exists that this was just a great place, lacking other great places. So we may be thinking too much about it. That is always a possibility, especially with me. But I just want to remind you of a theory that we had pretty early on in Elbaf that might explain this. When it comes to the history of Rocks and knowing all the details, the character that I would circle as this is most relevant to, aside from Loki, is Blackbeard. I've had myself a suspicion that Blackbeard might find his way into Elbaf. And I feel...
Bro, there's no surprising about that, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. And I also think, like, this nigga Blackbeard is gonna kill Shanks. You know? Like, a lot of people might not believe that, but that nigga definitely gonna kill Shanks. You know? I'll be talking to my homeboys about it. They don't believe that. They're like, oh, Shanks. You ain't seen Shanks hockey, bro. Blackbeard over Shanks, man. Hold on.
That we had pretty early on Fox flashback wherever. There's some amount of interconnectedness it needs with the present story. Harold knowing Rocks and Loki looking up to Rocks provides this opportunity. The possibility exists that this was just a great place, lacking other great places. So we may be thinking too much about it. That is always a possibility, especially with me. But I just want to remind you of a theory that we had pretty early on in Elbaf that might explain this. When it comes to the history of Rocks and knowing all the details, the character that I would circle as this is most relevant to, aside from Loki, is Blackbeard. I've had myself a suspicion that Blackbeard might find his way into Elbaf.
Yeah, Blackbeard will find his way into Elbaf. I also believe Blackbeard is gonna kill Shanks. I've talked to a couple of my homeboys and they don't believe that shit, but bro, Shanks is gonna die, and Blackbeard is gonna kill him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Blackbeard over Shanks any day, to be honest, man. I think Shanks is he's a dead man walking, to be honest with you, bro. That's why he's so crazy about Blackbeard. You know?
And I feel as though the logic which justifies this is fairly straightforward and easy to understand.
I think Blackbeard ain't normal at all.
Since near the end of Wano, we spent a lot of time following Blackbeard's adventure kind of on the periphery. Oda wants to keep us updated as to what has happened. And if you put all this together, ignoring any like crazy thoughts, right? The general simple story being told is Blackbeard is getting closer to being able to find the One Piece. He captured Charlotte Pudding of the three-eyed race, who is supposed to be able to translate.
Yo, and Katarina, that one foxy female, she touched Saturn too. Although that nigga died, bro, to be honest with you, he might have looking for the abyss. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you need the mark, you know, to appear in the abyss. So I think that is what he might have been after, bro. That nigga Blackbeard is smart as hell. You can't count that nigga short, bro.
The language of the poneglyphs. She obviously has not displayed this ability yet, but that's what we know about her. That's why we think that she's important. Seems like the straightforward reason why Blackbeard would want her. Then after this, Blackbeard directly engaged with Trafalgar Law. And the end result of this, aside from Law's defeat, sort of, is Blackbeard obtained the copies of the poneglyphs that Law and the Strats had gathered before then. If nothing else, this is a simple solution to save time, right? Like, it would be somewhat difficult to create circumstances for Blackbeard to attack Zoe, as an example, and acquire the road poneglyph rubbing from that country. It's much easier to just steal what the Strats had already gathered. Big Mom's poneglyph, Zoe's poneglyph, and then finally, Wano's poneglyph. Meaning that by the time that Egghead started, if you consider this to be a race to the One Piece, Blackbeard and Luffy are tied. They each only need one more road poneglyph to find to be able to determine the location of Laughtail. But in
Yeah. Blackbeard and fucking Luffy are tied up. Shanks too, you know, but I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, we haven't really seen Blackbeard do anything, but I know Oda is cooking up some shit. You feel what I'm saying? The last couple of chapters, fire. You know, like we need to since you're going back with rocks and shit right now, you gotta show us, you know what I'm saying, God Valley incident, you know what I'm saying? Like it's long overdue, you know what I'm saying? Don't hate on us, Oda. Come on, man.
In Egghead itself, a low-key reveal I think a lot of people took for granted, but was in fact a reveal, is there's also another race taking place. The race to find the ancient weapons, as well as the means to be able to potentially use them. So the Straw Hats found Poseidon in Fishman Island. That's Shirahoshi. The Straw Hats essentially found Pluton, they know where it is, in Wano. And in Egghead they discovered the Mother Flame, created by Dr. Vegapunk, very likely to be the power source and the energy source necessary in order to use Pluton and potentially Uranus. Maybe this isn't outright stated in the story, right? But the Mother Flame, or the Eternal Flame, was the energy source of the Ancient Kingdom. The Ancient Kingdom is related to the ancient weapons, obviously, and I think it's very likely that this power source is required for some of their ancient technology. Otherwise, possessing the weapons is useless. So just the same as Oda giving Blackbeard a cheat code to obtain the red poneglyphs, through Caribou, he gave Blackbeard a cheat code to find the ancient weapons. There's a reason why Oda is stringing Caribou along in the story. Caribou...
True, cause Caribou knows everything. He been running around with the Straw Hats for a minute, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he left the Straw Hats at fucking Egghead. You know what I'm saying? When Katarina and them took him. You know, so that nigga know a lot. So yeah. So yeah. Blackbeard got a lot of information, bro. Like even consuming 2 devil fruits that is confirmed right now. And like niggas we think like nigga might have another fruit, bro. Like 3 devil fruits, you know? Why the fuck he got 3 skulls on his Jolly Roger? Makes no sense, to be honest with you. Like, you know? Like, and back in the day when Nami said something, and then they were like, she was like him or some shit like that, his or some shit like that. They were like, nah, he's not him, he's they. Like, you're like, what the fuck, you know? So, yeah, bro, there's something going on with Blackbeard, bro. Something we don't know about.
Caribou was there in Fishman Island, discovered that Shirahoshi is Poseidon. Again, Caribou was there at the end of Wano to discover the location of Pluton. Caribou then travels to Egghead, where most likely he learns about the Mother Flame. He turns himself into the Blackbeard Pirates in order to divulge this information to them. So both of these races are happening concurrently, and Oda has essentially handled them in exactly the same way. Blackbeard has acquired the majority of this hidden information by cheating. And we're not going to talk about it now, but all of this seems very fitting given conversation related to Davy backfights. Blackbeard channeling his inner Foxy. This is kind of a game with a scoring system, and Blackbeard is not playing by the rules.
Yeah. Crazy when you think about it right now, the Davy fights, like, damn, it really made a comeback, bro. Like, that's crazy. I hated that nigga Foxy, bro. I hate that nigga Foxy. I still do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but imagine having his power with Hockey now, though. That would be OP. I'm not gonna lie, kinda. That would be OP, but I hate that guy, bro.
Rules. But as he catches up with Luffy and Luffy's adventure, there's still one thing that he and Luffy have yet to discover. Information related to and the location of Uranus, as well as the final road poneglyph. Just to me, this seems intentional. Up until now, Blackbeard has not had to directly confront or interact with the Strat pirates in order to steal these things from them. So in my opinion, this last thing, or this last game, will be more so a direct encounter. So where exactly is the final road poneglyph located? Well, don't think that it takes a genius to deduce that it's here in Elbaf. We actually already know that the last road poneglyph was originally in Fishman Island. When we went through Roger and Odin's flashback, we can see that it was located right next to the poneglyph of Apology. It's obviously not there anymore, meaning somebody moved it. So we know that the Roger pirates knew where the road poneglyph was. It moved. It seems very likely to me that a Roger pirate moved it. And the entire point of doing so is to put it in a location it would be more difficult for other people to find, while keeping it findable, especially if you're making friends. Because Roger wanted the right person to find it, I think that Zoe is kind of like the best example of this. Pretty much the ideal place to put a road poneglyph. You have an island that a log post.
Yeah, the right person to find it, you know, that's why he had a son and everything, you know, he thought his son was gonna be, you know. But yeah, bro, like, damn. Thinking about this, bro, like, the shit is wrapping up, so that's, yeah. Like, we really gotta see God Valley, bro. For real, for real.
Does not point to, guarded by one of the strongest races in the world, and even if you happen to find this island and conquer the people, it's still not that easy to actually discover where the road poneglyph is located on the island without the help of the native people. This played out almost exactly with Jack. So the Roger pirates were looking for a location to hold a road poneglyph that might be very similar to Zoe, right? The obvious answer is Elbaf. Can't find the poneglyph just by sneaking into the island and looking around because it is too well hidden. You have to make friends with the giants or potentially the Roger pirate that is here, Scopper. And of course, conquering the island is not such an easy feat. Also, you really don't even need all this explanation just because intuitively there's not that many arcs left in One Piece, probably. After Elbaf, Lodestar seems pretty likely. Lodestar has its own thing going on related to the poneglyphs. That's where most people discover that the journey for the poneglyphs exists, so I doubt that they stuck a road poneglyph there. And then after that, I would assume it's Laugh Tale itself. So, you know, unless there's an arc that Oda throws in here that is unexpected, right, this is where the road poneglyph is.
Yeah, I think it might be in the world poneglyph. The last one might be in Alabama too. I think it might be in the tree that Loki was locked up at. That way it was chained up at. It might be in that tree. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, it seemed like it. You know? Like, because that was odd. Like, to have him locked up knowing that old man Ja Rule knew, like, he didn't do shit. The old man knew that and still didn't do nothing about it, you know? So, just fuck that nigga, man. For real.
My theory is that Shanks is the one that put it here. I also think that we will eventually find the road poneglyph within Treasure Tree Adam, because certain things that we've seen make it appear as though the tree might be more hollow than you think, which also works as an excellent comparison to Zoe. But yeah, Shanks told us straight up that he is now going to find the One Piece, and what is the one place or the two places that we know that he stopped? He stopped in Wano, where we know that road poneglyph is, and he stopped in Elbaf. Like, it's at this point, it's obvious. Although I promise you, I won't complain if Oda finds a way to give the road poneglyph to Hachinosu. But let's throw a little bit more logic into this, right? We know that the poneglyphs are scattered across the world, not just the road poneglyphs, I'm talking about all of the poneglyphs. And they tend to be guarded by strong countries or strong peoples that had some connection to or likely friends with Joy Boy. So in my opinion, the Giants are a very obvious choice as protectors of poneglyph, right? Yeah, we know this pretty much. But if this wasn't the road poneglyph, if the road poneglyph was originally in Fishman Island, then Elbaf had another poneglyph, the one that they were originally tasked with protecting. Following our conversation here, it would seem very likely to me that the original poneglyph Elbaf was protecting was the poneglyph which told you about the location and abilities of the ancient weapon Uranus. So if Blackbeard and Luffy are essentially in a race or playing a game, right? Elbaf is the stage of this final game. The last thing that both of them need likely is here. The only other possibility is that Luffy and crew acquire the information here and then encounter Blackbeard on the sea or in Lodestar and fight over it. But maybe this is my own personal bias, but I just don't like the thought of Blackbeard never finding any of these poneglyphs himself and stealing them from everyone. But yeah, I suppose believe what you want to here. I guess Blackbeard just could steal them all and never find them. Regardless, I think that there's a compelling argument for why Blackbeard might show up here. So getting the Rocks flashback right now could end up being immediately.
Yeah, Blackbeard definitely might show up in Elbaf. I'm not gonna lie. Cause the final poneglyph might be in Elbaf, you know. But also, it would be funny as Liveee was in Hachinosu. Imagine, just imagine.
Relevant. But yeah, another thing that I just really like is I like the generational parallels. Inherited will is a very real thing in One Piece. In this chapter, we learn that Rocks wanted to recruit King Harold to his crew. There's a relationship there, and Loki is kind of observing. So Rocks desired the King of the Giants on his crew.
What if Loki joins Blackbeard? Damn. If Loki joined Blackbeard, it would have been over. Like, for real though. It would have been over. Bro, damn. He would have been OP. I mean, he is OP right now, but just imagine. Oh, shit.
And Blackbeard, I would think, has most likely inherited this will in some form or fashion. Don't you think that an interaction between Loki and Blackbeard as the offsprings of this failed union, isn't that interesting? I think so. I think
that is very interesting. Like, very, very interesting, I'm not gonna lie. Them having a conversation. I'm not gonna lie, I can't knock that. Because his pops had a conversation with Emu. And he was like, I'm gonna come back for you. What if he was talking about, I might not do nothing to you right now, but I'll be back though. My son gonna be back. Mm. And he has the dog fruit. And I think he might have, Katarina might have took, touched that nigga's hand, because, he got the mark. He can go through the abyss, So, hey, if Blackbeard learns how to dummy reversal people, it's crazy. I ain't gonna lie.
That would make a lot of sense. Not necessarily that Loki will join Blackbeard's crew, but the idea of it, the fight for giants as Nakama. The reality, based on what we've learned, is that Loki always wanted to be a member of Rock's crew. Now you have Rock's literal child, and this is possible. Even if it ends up being a parallel to what happened before and Loki ultimately rejects Blackbeard. Like, honestly, from Harold's whole flashback, right, there was a legitimate future where the King Harold that we got is not what happened. Essentially, the idea is that love changed him. And I think that love has the potential to change Loki as well in a similar way. Seeing that literally play out with Loki being faced with similar decisions would only embellish what I feel like Oda is trying to communicate.
This may be the last ad you ever see, because with the free ad block extension from Capital One Shopping.
And all of this conversation I feel like is relevant from the very start of this chapter. We begin where the last chapter left off, with Loki encountering Rox after his attempted fall. It is literally spelled out to us that Loki chose death because he no longer believed in love. Well, I guess he chose death.
Yeah, that was sad. Bro, that nigga gave up on love when he was like, what, like 2-3 months? Like, what the fuck, my nigga? Like, who the fuck gives up on love at 2-3? But that, bro, like, that is crazy. That nigga was born a fucking warrior, bro. Like, that's crazy.
Death unsuccessfully, but you get it. For me, this clearly establishes one of the primary differences between Blackbeard and Luffy philosophically. Choosing to side with Luffy is choosing love, where Blackbeard represents something like power absent love. So Rox is looking for Harold, but Harold is not here. So Rox is like, hey, go and tell your village to get your father here ASAP. It's urgent. Tell them that you're seriously hurt. And Loki's immediate reaction to this is, you expect my father to come here because I'm hurt? And he says that because he doesn't believe in love, and he doesn't really believe that his father loves him, which is sad. But fair given that Harold is not really in his life. But yeah, basically Loki's like, you know what? I don't think that I will. And so Rox literally hurt him. But all this is part of something like a debate or an argument, right? Like, Loki has the potential of being persuaded that love is real, although he doesn't currently believe. There's some ideological combat taking place, although nobody seems to be overtly aware of it. So we get a tiny panel that was genuinely super impactful that he honestly couldn't believe it, that he was hurt and that his father actually did come to check on him. As they say, winning the battle does not necessarily mean you're winning the war. So Loki is there observing King Harold and Rock's interaction, and it's just obvious that Loki sees a bit of himself in the Rock's pirates. It is genuinely ironic, and I think 100% intentional on Oda's part, that King Harold represents love and connection, interconnectedness, right? But he spares none of this for the Rock's pirates. He's immediately judgmental of them and immediately rejects them. So King Harold showing up for Loki's sake is a point towards love being real. And again, Harold doesn't realize this, but he almost immediately contradicts this with the way that he engaged with the Rock's pirates. Because Harold's love has conditions. Honestly, guys, this is something that I think about quite a lot. You know, like you like to believe that someone can love you unconditionally. People often talk about that regarding family, right? But I think that there are some very understandable things which might test this. Like, as in a very extreme example, what if you were a murderer? What if you were a serial killer? Would you really expect unconditional love to survive that? Not in the vast majority of cases. Or maybe
Not really, nah. That is true. That is true, 100%.
that would be more realistic or applicable to a lot of people is sexuality. People love the idea of unconditional love in family, but evidence exists throughout history that, not always. So this is kind of what Loki is struggling with. Obviously not his sexuality, right? But he has just been rejected for his entire life. So I think that he sees, perhaps better than most, the conditions of love. And I think that this works especially well with somebody like Loki, who very clearly has a powerful will and a very powerful identity. Does he want to become something that he's not just so that everyone else loves him? That would be giving in to the will of everybody else. In my opinion, Loki is less likely to do this than most other people. He's angry, probably for legitimate reasons, and has absolutely no intention of acting otherwise, which is a kind of honesty I can appreciate. Although being angry all the time, generally speaking, makes you a pretty unlikable person. So the feedback loop is there. So this is what I think that Loki found so appealing in the Rock's pirates. Harold immediately rejected them and the idea of forming bonds with them because they're lawless. I'll preach love, but not if you're a criminal. Even though Rock's stated goal is something that is good. He wants to defeat the bad guys. Why in the world would that be a bad thing? Loki's sitting there listening to the conversation and he's probably thinking to himself, wow, he just like me for real. Except Rox is rejected because he's a criminal, and Loki is rejected because he is a cursed child. But ultimately, I do think that they both have good hearts and want to do what's right. I've kind of glossed over the details here, but it's just readily apparent that Rox is not an entirely bad guy. He could have seriously harmed Loki. He really didn't. He does what's necessary, and he doesn't seem to care what other people think. Straight up, it's pretty easy to imagine that Loki thinks that Rox is a guy that should be loved. The fact that they aren't only illustrates how limited love is as a means to change the world. Rox doesn't need it, and he's somebody who actually has the potential to create change. Which is absolutely incredible writing, given that we essentially know, right, that Harold represents something closer to where the story actually goes and what it is that we should actually believe in. Villains having compelling motivations and philosophies